Well, I'm Stuart Mitchell from Sinch. I'm part of the product management team, and I look after development for some of our rich messaging channels, both Apple Messages for Business, RCS, and Viber, and things of that nature. Jason wanted me to come along and talk today about RCS and whether it is the ultimate evolution of SMS. I want everyone to forget the RCS of the past. I'm going to talk about the RCS today and the RCS of the future. Here we are at Genesis. Genesis in the beginning. In the beginning, there was SMS. Diraj said the same thing earlier. SMS, HTTP SMS, is still incredibly valuable, incredibly important. Mobile Squared reckon there's 2.5 trillion HTTP SMS messages are delivered every year. But it's an old technology. It's a technology that's now struggling. So what can we do to move that forward? Our first evolution of SMS, of course, was MMS. MMS, I was working in MMS 20 years ago, and it struggled. We didn't have very many devices that supported it. The devices that did support it weren't very good. Mobile operators charged too much for it. Even the infrastructure vendors had a very restrictive pricing model around it. And MMS is a technology that really, really struggled. It is clinging on in a few places. Just on that last slide that Jason had, I saw there's a North American retailer that said, is there enough investment in HTTP MMS? It's struggling on primarily in North America. There's been a huge growth, and there's massive challenges actually of throughput. The operators not deploying MMSCs quickly enough. At the same time as in places like Germany, they're actually beginning to decommission their MMSCs. So I think MMS itself is turning into more of an endemic species, a species that exists and lives just on the continent of North America, and has pretty much died out elsewhere. So the question is RCS the ultimate evolution? Is it going to take us to where we need to be? Because what we know, and we've seen this, is customers want us to be already at the Homo sapiens stage, right? This is what mobile engagement looks like today, advertising on Instagram. Instagram reckon they have around 2 billion active users per month. And there are some reports out there, it's hard to find real data, but projected spend on Instagram spending is around $43 billion a year. If you do the maths on that, it comes out at around $1.80 per subscriber per month. And what does the mobile industry do in response to that? Well, we have HTTP SMS. And this is what it looks like, right? Way more subscribers are active on their mobile phones. I did a quick bit of Googling. I found a number, 8.4 billion. That's like 420% as many subscribers as Instagram has. And yet the revenues are much, much smaller. So 25.8 billion, if you do the maths again, 26 cents compared to the $1.80 earlier. Instagram, these rich messaging channels are eating our lunch. We're hemorrhaging money to the rich channels. So I want to tell you a story about PICARD. Wait, hang on, no, wrong PICARD. Sorry, not that PICARD, this PICARD. PICARD Surgelais is a French food retailer. They've got around 900 stores in France. They've expanded a little bit outside of that, but they're highly dependent on things like Christmas Day spending. And they came to Sinch to ask us if we could help them with a mobile messaging campaign. So we ran through our usual process. We always start engaging with our customers, speaking to them about their objectives, finding out what they want to achieve. We sit down, we take their subscriber list, and we analyze that and decide which devices are RCS capable and which devices are SMS capable. Typically in France, it's around 33% of devices are actually RCS capable. And that enables us to build two parallel campaigns, one based on rich SMS and one based for devices that do not support RCS, and one based on RCS for handsets that do. And then we can schedule a campaign, and I'm going to talk about a particular campaign that we did for PICARD in December 2022. So I just want to have a quick look at a rich SMS, just to make sure we all understand what a rich SMS looks like, and it looks like this. Obviously, it's got a sender ID. Being France, we can use alpha sender IDs. We set that to PICARD. It's unverified, but as far as the consumer is concerned, it probably is coming from that brand. Being SMS, it's text-based only, of course. And we put in a website link. It's a unique website link for every subscriber, so that when the subscriber clicks on it, not only can we track them and get some feel for how many of these links are being clicked on, we also can personalize the destination landing page. Now, the one thing we all know about SMS messages today is all the publicity that says, whatever you do, don't click on links in SMS messages. And yet, this is the best tool that we have to engage our customers to compete with Instagram using SMS. When I talk about RCS now, I'm not talking about P2P RCS. And what many people don't actually know is if you have an Android phone and you're using messaging with another Android user, you're probably using RCS. Google have recently renamed it RCS messaging. I don't know if you can see that at the bottom of the screen. But this is a quick snapshot of a conversation I had with my son, just for the screenshot, actually. And this is what an RCS P2P conversation looks like. But it's very, very different to A2P RCS. And that's different to SMS. An A2P SMS looks exactly like a P2P SMS. With RCS, it's a completely different world. A P2P sender in RCS looks exactly like an SMS message sender. In RCS, it's completely different. And this is what the PICARD sender agent looks like. It's fully branded, you've got a logo there, you've got a little tagline, you've got opportunities to call customer care, visit the website, et cetera, et cetera. And this is what an A2P RCS message looks like, part of the campaign that we did for PICARD. So it starts off with a verified sender. This gives complete trust to the user that PICARD are who they say they are. If you click on that link and you're on the Bouygues network in France, it will say this sender agent has been verified by Bouygues. The first time you receive an RCS from a brand, you get from an enterprise, you get this branding, you get the logo, you get this little tagline at the top, which is what we saw earlier in the sender screen. And the message itself obviously arrives with this rich media, nice compelling images. We've done some personalization on this. So this is this is a test message from Marie in our marketing team. And as you can see, there's a suggested action button right at the very, very bottom. So I'm going to run you now through, with cinema as our theme, we've got some videos set up where I can show you actually what these messages look like. Obviously, the rich SMS starts with an SMS, and as you can see, Marie's been doing a lot of testing, but when we click on the link at the bottom, that message at the bottom, it starts a little video here. I know there's at least one French speaker in the audience who can tell us exactly what's going on here, but even with my French that I studied to the age of 16, I can tell that this is all about deciding what kind of a menu you want, how much you want to spend, what comes up next. You can say, oh, this is where I get lost. I want a traditional menu. And as you can see, what we've done here in the web browser is we have emulated a conversational messaging type experience. Wait for our animation to finish. In RCS, it starts with a message. So we see the message at the top of the screen there, and as soon as we click on that message, it takes us directly into the flow. So all of this flow looks very similar to the previous one. I would argue it actually looks slightly more interesting, more compelling. It renders better. This is actually running in the messaging client on the handset. So this is not a browser. This is in the messaging client. As you can see that, the standard Android set up at the bottom of the screen there. And it's exactly the same flow. This is recorded in real time, so this is exactly how fast the chatbot that we built for this customer is interactive and engaging with the end subscriber. I should set this onto music, shouldn't I? There we go. And obviously, the end destination there is a link to, as you can see, it's got the little globe logo on it. That's a link to an external website, which is where the customer can then complete the purchase that they've selected as part of the flow. The reason I'm here today is because of this LinkedIn post. Jason mentions he stalks me on LinkedIn. And I mentioned here that the PICARD Surgelé campaign that we ran just in the run-up to Christmas was very, very successful. And the key bit that really grabbed Jason's attention was where I said that the click rate was somewhat 3 times higher than web links over SMS. So let's drill into that a little bit. 3 times the click rate of RCS versus rich SMS. So here we're comparing the number of users that click on the link in the SMS message they receive versus the people who open the message that they receive from the RCS. That's the closest comparison that we've got to how many people have actually started that conversational flow. 3 times as many in RCS. As the conversation flow continues, we saw 42% higher engagement in the RCS client than we did in the web browser experience. And ultimately, 10% more people went on and purchased from the RCS than they did from the rich SMS. By the way, it's worth saying that rich SMS is very, very commonly used in France. We get an awful lot of business out of that at Sinch. So it's not something that subscribers are not used to receiving. Customers very, very happy. This is a quote that they gave us, RCS enables us to communicate in a fun and interactive way with our customers. What we find with the RCS campaigns that we run, particularly in France, the customers that come back again time after time after time, and want us to build them more and more rich and compelling campaigns. So if we look at those numbers and kind of try and visualize what that looks like, starting off with the bar for all subscribers, as I mentioned earlier, it's around 33% of the devices in France are RCS enabled today. So we sent out about 1 million messages over rich SMS and about 500,000 over RCS. With that 3-time click-through rate, we've already got higher engagement on RCS than we ever did on SMS. And as we move on into the engagement numbers and then also add on the web redirects at the end, that additional 10%, you can see that the investment that's gone into RCS has delivered far, far greater results than we've seen from the SMS campaign. RCS is a highly viable and successful technology. So the big question really is, we know where we are today. What is our pathway to RCS? SMS is what we have today. It is the greatest messaging technology. It's fully ubiquitous. It works on every single device. We know it. We love it. It's viable. It's profitable. It's generating millions and billions of dollars for both the CPaaS industry, the mobile operators, etc. The first step, and probably what we're going to see for the next couple of years, is what Google call basic RCS. This is where we don't change anything on the customer side. We take their inbound SMS requests, and then we do an up conversion, or an upscale, we sometimes call it, to RCS where available. The question is, why would we bother? We get all the benefits of that A2P RCS experience. We get the verified sender, we get the branded messages, we also get better analytics. So we can see, and with complete truth, every single message that's been delivered, and indeed every single message that's been opened. And of course, we can derive from that X percentage of messages were opened within Y period of time. Valuable information that's just not available from SMS as a technology. And crucially, for basic RCS, we don't need to go and get another opt-in. The mobile operators have already got an opt-in from the subscriber to use messaging, to send them messages. So with that in mind, we don't have to seek another opt-in. It's a very valuable commodity that mobile operators kind of take for granted, to be honest. Moving on from basic RCS, we can then do things like rich car. This is almost analogous to MMS, where we just send a single rich image with a click to a website in order to drive customers to a website. And then finally, that full conversational RCS, those videos that I showed from the PICARD campaign. Crucially, this is giving the results that customers are seeking. It's giving them that return on investment that they wanted. And that's great. That's going to take us now to where we are today. But I think the big question is, how do we move on into the future? And indeed, what does that future look like? So 3 things here to think about. There's an awful lot of innovation going on within the RCS space. But the first one is rich authentication. So at the moment, an awful lot of business is going on with the use of SMS for one-time passwords. There's some problems with that. It can be spoofed. There's issues around artificial inflation of traffic. There's a big question mark about, and a big opportunity, what can we do with this trusted sender? We've got a trusted sender, and we know that the destination is the MISM that we think it is. What can we do around rich authentication and use the RCS flow instead of a simple enter this 6-digit code into a website for authentication? AI, Jason mentioned it earlier. We've got these chatbots. We've now got this AI, large language model technology. What can we do to improve customer care, allow people to communicate directly with enterprises without having to build these predetermined flows? What can we do with chatbots? I think we're going to see a lot of innovation in this space. And finally, this is kind of like the holy grail for the RCS world, is what can we do to begin to displace mobile apps? If you think about your banking app and what you do with that on a weekly, daily basis, whatever you do, it's typically very transactional type engagement. You go to your bank and you say, how much money have I got? Or can I cancel this standing order? Or have I been paid yet? If you could do that securely over a messaging-based channel, it gives us an opportunity to build something that's much more cost-effective, much more pleasing for the user, easier to find, much easier to use than having to download an app and keep it updated and do all of that app-based stuff. And the question is that enough? Is that what we need? Is that everything in the future? Probably not. There will be more innovation, but RCS is a very, very rich technology that allows us to achieve an awful lot just because the basic building blocks are in place. So this is what an RCS sender ID would look like for the ROCCO Genesis event, which I think you can all agree is very, very beautiful. And I think I've got a message coming in. Oh, yeah, it's a message from me asking if RCS is the evolution of SMS. And I've got 5 options there, and I think they all say yes. So basically, the answer is yes, it is. Those are the slides that I put together for this event today. But then I thought to myself, there's 3 major things I haven't really talked about. So I've got another slide, which I'm going to indulge and take the time, even though Jason and Diraj overran, and just talk about 3 key things as well. And this is the big thing, right? This is the one thing that always comes up. If I gave out T-shirts every time someone talked to me about Apple, I wouldn't have any T-shirts left. But, we can only deal with what we have in our hands, right? So Apple have decided not to support RCS. We can't do anything about that. Google have gone all in behind RCS and are supporting it and are driving an ecosystem that works for the mobile operators, works for the CPaaS providers, fits directly into the A2P world that we know and love. So, sure, Apple don't support RCS. There's no indication that they will. I don't see there's any reason why technically they couldn't support A2P RCS without ripping down the walled garden of iMessage. Nevertheless, Android and Apple is something that always comes up. So I can preempt that question from the panel session as well. Ecosystem is really important. And as I mentioned, Google have enabled this ecosystem where mobile operators can be paid by the CPaaS providers and aggregators for termination of RCS messages. It keeps that whole ecosystem that we've all grown up on and we've built our businesses on healthy, without the disaggregation of Meta going directly to enterprise and cutting the mobile operators out of the chain. More importantly, I think RCS it's working brilliantly in France. We're doing a lot of investment there. On a global level, it's unproven. So what we do at Sinch, this is not an advertisement, but we are open for other aggregators to come and connect to us and use us as a wholesale provider to leverage all of those connections, all those contracts that we have in place, the technical connections on a global basis. And just to say that we firmly believe in building an ecosystem. This is not something that we want to own and dominate at all. And it's a call out really to the mobile operators in the room. As I said, all this investment is going into Instagram advertising and all of the other rich channels. This is the kind of the final throw, the last opportunity for the mobile operator industry to invest and work with a viable, rich, vibrant messaging channel that works for enterprise. So, yeah, in my view, it's the final throw. It's the ultimate future of operator messaging. And that's what I brought about RCS.